Welcome, everyone. If you're one of our American friends, hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. Looking forward to sharing a few ideas with you today. Three questions to better business. Today is all about funny being the honey to make your message sticky. And I can't think of anyone I'd rather have on the day after Thanksgiving than my good friend Ray Engan. Ray, always good to see you, my friend.
Fantastic to be here for all the Norwegian friends out there. Let's have some lutefisk and a little bit of whatever the hell stuff that we have that has butter, sugar, and flour in it, and we'll have that as well. So
Absolutely. And if you're not from the United States or Norway or any of the Scandinavian countries, we're still happy to have you with us today.
nobody ever shouts out the Norwegians.
Well, we are now.
Yeah.
So hope you had a good holiday.
I did. How about yourself?
Very good. I like you talking about opportunities with family members to practice improv skills, which I know is one of your strengths.
It is fantastic to learn how to use improv skills when you have a 93-year-old mother with dementia that says things and you just agree with it and just roll forward with it. One of my favorite moments of yesterday was she wanted to sing a song. So I said, okay, I'll start it, Mom. And you've got to do it with me. And I got her within 10 minutes, I had her going, ice, ice, baby, ding, 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 ding.
Did she have fun?
She had a great time. She also liked that one and boom shaka laka laka, boom shaka laka laka.
Nice.
That one. That was
very
her favorite.
Nice. Well, if you can't tell, Ray's background is humor. And he has such a varied background. Ray, you've been a comedian, stand-up comedian. You have obviously done a lot of improv. You were a writer at one time for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, correct?
I was a contributing writer. You make it sound like I've been like a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king, Michael. I've been everything right there.
I didn't mention king. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So we'll leave the king out. I was a prince. I was Prince.
You were Prince.
I was Prince, and then he got famous, and so I had to step down. Yeah, I abdicated the throne to Prince from Prince.
Well, being a big Prince fan, I appreciate you doing that. All right. Well, let's jump into three questions about how honey is the funny that makes your message sticky. Let's go to question number one. What is the fastest way to get a prospect or an employee to know, like, and trust you?
That's a story that requires just a little bit of explanation. There's a story behind that right there. So
I like stories. You know that.
Well, you've met a stranger, right? We've all met strangers.
I have.
And when you meet a stranger, sometimes it's magical. Sometimes it's creepy. Well, what's the difference? When I ask that to groups, the number one answer I get is the vibe. How do you describe a vibe? And the number one answer to that usually comes down to the tone, because they'll quote that study that you and I have talked about the tone of words that, we won't get started on that because that'll take us down another rabbit hole there. But it's not really the tone, because if I look at you straight in the eye and go, "Hi, what's your name?" Right? That's magical, right?
Oh, absolutely. Plus my ears won't be ringing.
Creepy. So I have to change the tone to make it good again. So if I said, "Hi, what's your name?" that makes it even creepier. So it's really not the tone. And what you get out of this when you're trying to get people to accept you and know, like, and trust. When I said, "Hi," if I do that live, or if I do it even on Zoom, I see people pulling away from me, and they drop their chin when they do that. Why do they drop the chin? This is the most vulnerable area of your body. Well, if you're protecting your chin when you drop it because someone's creeping you out, what happens when you laugh? You throw your head backwards. What this is a subconscious way of you saying, "Look, I trust you. See, there it is. You could kill me, Mike. There it is. Go ahead and do that." So laughter is the fastest way to get people to instantly know, like, and trust you. It's the fastest way to create rapport. It is the most powerful weapon in the world to get you where you want to go, to unleash the power of humor in your life and make yourself more productive in the workplace, more likable. You sell more things. Funny people just happen to get more chances in life than the non-funny. And that's a good thing, I think.
It is. And it makes me think about a piece of wisdom I got from my friend, mentor Michael Haig, who is a scriptwriting consultant in Hollywood. And he said, the purpose of story is to elicit emotion. That's it. And everything you said when it comes to humor does the same, has the exact same outcome. It elicits emotion, positive emotion, know, like, and trust.
There's nothing wrong. You can't find anything bad with laughter.
No.
And it's like a universal palate cleanser. It's like, if you go to sushi and you see the wasabi and the ginger, right? I thought it was ham and avocado the first time I saw it, and I scooped it all up and threw it in my mouth because I thought it was a delicious little worst experience of my life. But that's a whole different story right there. But
it's a story.
It is a story, and that's why I came up, because you are the storytelling master, the speaking CPR, which is completely different than the speaking CPA, which is the bean counter of stories.
That's right. Or the CPR you probably needed after ingesting a mouthful of wasabi.
Yeah.
One shot.
But here's the interesting thing about humor. You could be so angry at me, but the second you start laughing, the anger goes away. It's impossible for a human being to have two different emotions at the same time. And if you can create laughter, you can stop anger, you can stop hatred, you can stop every other emotion, you can stop love as well. But the good thing is laughter releases these things in your brain. I know you had Karen Buxman on here. She knows the names of the things in the brain. So scientifically, it is one of the best things you can do for yourself.
I can think there probably have been some amorous moments that were broken up by laughter and had to be restarted. I can't think of one time laughter's bad. It's when you're doing it in class and you get sent to detention. But maybe that's not so bad because you didn't want to be in the class anyway.
But even then, think about the advice that they give you. Don't you get smart with me. They're telling you, well, you're in school, don't get smart.
Never thought of it that way. That's why I love having you in my life. You're always giving me these new perspectives on phrases I've been using my whole life.
It's a different angle. That's a big part of what creates it. Absolutely.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Question number 2. What's the scientific proof that laughter through leadership works?
Well, if you look at study after study, there's an amazing book about laughter in the workplace, leadership through laughter. It's called Humor Seriously, and the authors are Jennifer Aker and Naomi Bagdonis. They have done all the legwork with every scientific research study you can have. But if you look at some of the numbers with this thing, a workplace that is laughing and happy is 31% more productive than a workplace that is not. Salespeople that use humor when they sell generally sell about 37% more when they have a happy salesperson versus a salesperson that does very seriously. Mm-hmm. When you are at work, if you and I were at work together, and let's say you were funnier than I was, you would be viewed as being better at your job than I am, regardless of whether that's true or not. Now, here's the good news for people. You don't have to be funny at all to get the benefits of humor. You just have to try. So if you tried appropriately when you are speaking and failed to get laughs, you almost come up to the level as the funny person in the workplace. It's the person that doesn't try at all and the person that tries and gets laughter, but inappropriately, that is viewed in a negative outlook from staff and from bosses. CEOs want two things. 91% of CEOs, when you ask them, what do they want out of new hires? They want a good work ethic and a sense of humor. So humor is cool. Everywhere out there. And it is those two ladies that I'm mentioning, Jennifer Aker and Naomi Bagdonis, they offer a graduate MBA class at Stanford in business humor. And the thing about humor, which you have to realize when we're talking about, it's not stand-up comedy. It's putting a smile on somebody's face. In business, I call it safe surprise. That's what puts a smile on somebody's face. That's the difference between retaining people with the Great Resignation. If your staff isn't laughing, having a good time, they're going somewhere else that will allow them to do that. And so you might as well make it your emphasis as a boss to get people to laugh and have a good time when they're at work, because then you don't have to spend all the time and money to chase them down and hire somebody new.
But wait, I thought work was serious. We don't.
That's why it's called work.
That's why it's called work, for God's sake. Yeah,
I was talking to a company, because I know I'm not for everyone. And I was talking to a company that took their work very seriously. And so I thought, I'm going to try something, see if I can get a new phrase I can use with a different company. And so I said, well, Google has a CFO. And the guy looked at me and said, well, we have a CFO. I said, yeah, but theirs is a chief fun officer. And where's their stock price compared to yours? And I said,
I'm sure he hired you right then.
Well, I knew that wasn't happening.
I knew.
But the look on his face told me that, oh my goodness, that is a good line. And I've used it with other people in order to show the importance of humor with it. Because all these huge companies that are doing so well, they're in the best places to work. They're out there intentionally trying to create smiles on the faces of their employees.
Yeah, and there's so much there in what you said, and we have a limited time. Just a couple of thoughts. One is that the difference between stand-up comedy and humor speaking, if you continually throw lines out in a comedy routine that don't get laughs, you're going to soon be unemployed. If they don't get laughs in a speech, you just made a serious point. Keep moving.
Yeah, it's like art. If people don't laugh at it, you've created art.
You go.
You're wrong with that. And the thing about with these opportunities that we have and how we can make people enjoy life a little bit more, it's just understanding what it is that makes people laugh. It's a benign violation of a norm that surprises us, and taking the time to look at life with a little different twist. That's what you can create, that smile. Oh, this person's trying. Oh, this person's good. I really appreciate this fact that they're trying to make me smile. Your creativity goes through the roof if you get people to laugh before you have a creative meeting. But the thing is, it doesn't mean you have to be funny. You could let YouTube do it for you. Funny videos of cats before a creativity meeting do just as well as if you had the best stand-up in the world. And stand-up, to me, telling jokes isn't really that funny. I've never really tried to tell jokes. It's really a combination of just understanding what humor is and leading people down the path and using your words as pictures to put them where you want them to go. And that's what leadership's all about.
I think it's one of the lessons I was reminded of in improv, and I've had comedian friends like you over the years that have told me the biggest challenge that most people have is, first of all, they think they have to be funny. Secondly, they compare themselves to top comics of the day. At one point it was, well, I'm not George Carlin. I'm not zany Steve Martin. I'm not, today it's Kevin Hart, or you pick a comic. Don't compare yourself to those people. You're not going to win that one.
That is absolutely correct.
Our mutual buddy, Darren LaCroix, taught me that years ago. He would compare himself to the top comics of the day. Then he went to his first open mic night and said, well, they suck. I can do that.
Yeah. I did the same thing when I first walked in. I walked into the Holy City Zoo, the mecca of San Francisco comedy. And I would go, oh my God, I couldn't possibly be good enough to walk on that stage. And within like 5 minutes, I'm going, oh yeah, I could walk on that stage.
It's perspective.
It really is. And one of the things that you can pick up, and this just totally reminded me of this. So you mentioned George Carlin, Jerry Seinfeld, all these greats. They train you to laugh. What do I mean by that? Jerry Seinfeld talks about, where did the missing sock go? Hey, everyone, I had it before I went down to the laundromat. Now it's not there. So when Jerry goes up, you expect to laugh. George Carlin, when he goes down, you expect to laugh. It's called baseball. It's a game where football is like a war. And the consistency with which they do that is something that speakers can learn from, because if you have something that always takes it to something that's funny and your voice goes up there like this, well, then your audience, once or twice you get them, you don't even have to worry about it. They'll do it just from the sound of your voice. It's like Pavlov's dog, which my favorite thing. I was trying to say Pavlov's dog. This is one of the 52 humor tips that I give people. I said Pavarotti's dog instead of Pavlov's dog, which is a whole different experience. And everybody started laughing. And I didn't know why. But then I realized it was Pavarotti's dog, an opera dog.
And that bite a lot funnier than Pavlov's dog.
It was way funny.
It's
way funnier than what I had planned.
And sometimes that's why it's important to train yourself to think funny, which leads us to our third question, which is, how is it possible to create an atmosphere of humor without being funny?
Like I was saying before, you can use YouTube as your friend. And when you have a business meeting and you're not funny, don't worry about it. Let somebody else do it for you. It's just a simple thing. Go find a cat video that makes you laugh. The other side of it is naturally flip things. Look at the other side of these horrible, scary things that happen in your life, and I bet you'll find something funny. For example, I went today, got a COVID shot, and then on the way to get the COVID shot, the tire pressure light comes on. And I thought, oh, great, I got a flat tire. I'm pissed off I got a flat tire. And I'm sitting there waiting to get the COVID shot. And I thought, oh, my God, I wonder how the tire felt. The tire was probably sitting there. I'm driving down the road, not minding, just minding my own business. But the tire was screaming at you, hey, there's a nail in the road. Miss the nail, dude. Miss the nail. Oh, it hurts. And then you pull over, and I got out. I kicked the tire. Right. So the tire, why are you kicking me? Don't kick me like that. And I could have gone in the back and gotten the metal thing out and twisted the tire's nuts to make it even worse. Wow. Where I'm thinking I'm having a bad day. The tire's having a much worse day than that. So anytime you can flip something, look at the other side. It's probably worse than what you're going through. My sister one time walked out in the morning, like 3 mornings in a row, spider web. And she, ew, this is awful. Can we do something about this? What do you think the spider thinks? Every morning he's going out there going, oh my God, I got a shot. I think I built it better today. If I can catch this huge monster, I can feed my family for years. Right? So that spider has a different perspective on life than you with your, the little webbies in my hair. You destroyed his home every morning. 3 days in a row, you destroyed his home. It's like a catastrophe.
There's so many messages in there too.
Yeah, there's all kinds of
power of optimism. Today I got her.
The flip. I know. Look, and that's the thing. That could be a story, a speech about persistence, perseverance. And sometimes like Thanksgiving dinner, you go, I think I'm rooting for that spider. Catch that one.
Or how many times does it take to get the message?
Yeah.
Maybe you should build it in a new place. Don't build it on a fault line.
Well, he had just watched Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
That's right. Well, she did come. And your web wasn't good enough.
Yeah. And that to him was the World Wide Web.
Nice. Yeah, brought it all back. So what this boils down to is if you're willing to develop a new habit, which is, for example, ask a question every day. Every time something new happens to you, what's funny about this? And as Tony Robbins, I learned, he taught years ago through a tape series, he said, all right, let's say you're in a really bad mood and you just can't think of anything funny. Ask another question. What could be funny? It's just developing better questions to ask. And if you do that long enough, someday you could be as funny as Ray Engan.
How could this be useful to you?
Yeah.
Every disappointment in life. And that's the thing, is that comedy is so close to tragedy. And comedy, it runs downhill. It usually goes from good to bad, from bad to worse. And so what is annoying you about this? Let's flip it and find out how that could be used. That's a fast, free, and easy way to get to funny faster.
Yeah.
The flip that we were talking about. The other one is just, and I've done it a couple times here on this, in these 20 minutes that we've been here together. What is it that somebody's saying that can be misinterpreted to create a whole different meaning to what was just said? I call it a two-way option. I think the technical name for it is called a phonetic ambiguity. And I used to have an old joke where the setup was, I've been seeing someone, right? I was talking about being single. I've been seeing someone. And everybody always thinks, that's a new relationship, young love. Oh, the awkwardness, those cute little moments right there. But the real joke was, I've been seeing someone, but you can't tell much with binoculars, really. And it goes from being a sweet love story to a stalking thing. And there's a fine line between stalking and just being there. I get that. But it's taking that, seeing someone and reinterpreting it. The biggest gift I can give people is to send them down this road where, if you want to create more humor in your speeches, your life, your relationships, in business, what you need to do is stop focusing on the logic of the idea that's being presented to you and start focusing on the logic of the words, because the words give you much more option than the idea do. If that makes sense.
It does. And go back to your stalking joke. There's nothing funny about the actual act of someone being stalked. That's not it. It's the words you use and the ridiculous ambiguity, not the misdirection you took us on. It's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That's where humor comes from. And I think too many people, and I think, obviously we're in a sensitive time, is don't take it so literally. Ray's not out there championing, go stalk someone.
Yeah.
No, it's that misdirection and the unexpected is what makes it funny.
And there was Johnny Steele, who was Robin Williams' main writer. Mm-hmm. He posted something today on Facebook, a joke that he can't use anymore because he said, in his words, he said the millennials started going to comedy clubs and they would take things seriously. And I'm going to butcher it, but basically what he said is that the Kennedys just didn't control their cars very well. If Ted had taken the convertible and JFK had taken the covered top, it'd be a whole different history, right?
That's a brilliant observation.
Yeah. But he runs into a problem where people think that, well, that's, and I coming from an era where you could say things like that to an era you can't. It's you never know when you're going to upset someone. And the thing is, with humor, you're going to upset someone, because the key thing is that we talk about these problems that we have. Everybody has scars somewhere, and we love showing our scars because that's a healed wound. Nobody shows their open wounds. And example, I did a show in Texas, and this woman came up to the three comics standing there, and she went to one and said, "You were great. You were fantastic." She looked at me and said, "And you were mean." And I'm like, okay, I've been described as a lot of things, but mean isn't usually one. And what she did, this was back when the Hubble telescope went up.
Yeah.
And we spent billions of dollars, and it didn't work at first because they took the lens and it wasn't ground correctly. So my joke was, we spent billions of dollars, travel hundreds of thousands of miles, then we screw up a job that lens crafters could have done in under an hour for $79.95, right? Well, her father worked on the Hubble telescope. That's why I was mean.
Yeah.
And I couldn't read her mind. But people always ask, how far is too far? You can show people scars. You can't show them open wounds.
Yeah. And even with that's great insight, Ray. And I've heard you say that before. I love that phrase. I've used it with others. I give you credit. look, I'm 58. I try to be sensitive, and I'm not going to disrespect somebody, but at the same time, we got to get over this oversensitivity. You're with, and I tell people this in audiences too, for speaking. I mean, is one example that people come to me with. I've had some people say, "Well, I'm a Christian, and I'm afraid I'm going to offend my audience." And I ask a couple questions. Number one, is your faith important to you? Yes. Number two, has it had an impact, and is it relevant to the story you want to share? Yes. Are you preaching to them? Are you trying to convert them? No. Then tell your story. And if they don't like it, that's their problem, not yours. And if you're trying humor and somebody gets offended, like the Hubble telescope woman, it's going to happen.
And it used to be, and it's still, who's going to point stuff out and make people from both sides look at it and go, huh, that's interesting. That's always the comedian. That's been the comedian's job.
Yep.
It's always been the funny person's job to point out what's wrong. And this doesn't make sense to me. I don't know about you, but this doesn't make sense to me. And back in the day, you took on, like, if you look back at Johnny Carson back at the Tonight Show, he took on everybody.
Yeah, he did.
And he made points about Republicans and Democrats. It wasn't that they're crazy. Now, if you say something, it's like half the country's going to hate you. Not disagree with you, but hate you. So that's really the basis behind this, and the ability to disagree and still live together.
Yeah.
If we disagreed with people and then that was the end of things, no one would be married.
There would be no relationships. So we'd all be our own little island. I mean, you mentioned Carson. I grew up on Richard Pryor, George Carlin. They made you think. But the reason they were able to do it is because they made you laugh first. When Richard Pryor made comments about white people, he usually set it up with a pretty damn funny line or two or three. And then it's like, that's a different perspective I hadn't thought of. He actually helped me look at the world differently in a more positive light and accept that other people have a different experience through life, and mine isn't the only one. Did it through laughter. And we've somewhere along the line, we've lost that in the last 10 years or so.
Well, and another really cool point to take away from what you just said, living it through your own life, when we look at laughter, once your biggest laugh, it's a palate cleanser and it frees your mind. It goes in there, it scrubs your brain, kind of like shaking an Etch-a-Sketch over your head. So it's clear. So your best time to make a point is right after the biggest laugh.
Yeah.
In any presentation, any work meeting, because they'll remember it because they've had all the other stuff swept away. That was me as a window.
I thought so. Or you've often used the example of the Etch-a-Sketch for those that remember the Etch-a-Sketch. You make it and you shake it, get rid of it, new design, move on. And that's one of the beauties of improv too. It's you make a point, you have fun with it, end of scene, move on to the next one. So,
and Ohio Arts, the company that created the Etch-a-Sketch. You're in Ohio. Tie that together.
There you go. I could do that. That's one of your superpowers. My friend, I could talk to you all day. I know it's the day after a holiday. Plus, you've got your own podcast or webcast, live stream, whatever to get to. So if you want to take a deeper dive with Mr. Ray Engan, you can visit him, Ray at humorspeaks.com. www. I don't even know why I have www anymore. Humorspeaks.com. And Ray, you mentioned 52 humor tips. How can they get those?
They can go, if they do it before December 1st, they can go to kiwilive.com. The password is Zoom out there. Also, my website is leadershipthroughlaughter.com. I think Humor Speaks takes it there. That was the original one, but it's leadershipthroughlaughter.com. And kiwilive.com. There's over 52 humor tips, some of the stuff that we talked about today. There's also a link to my calendar. If you have questions about it, be more than happy to go over some things with people. There's another humor algorithm. We didn't even talk about that, but there's a humor algorithm class coming up that I'll be happy to talk to them about as well.
Yeah, by all means. And I'll put the correct link in the under the show notes so they can contact, or just Ray at Humor Speaks will get you to him. Before we go, if you would like to increase your storytelling capabilities and sign up for 52 storytelling tips, I've got those once a week. Like with Ray, you'll get a weekly tip. The idea behind these is to build one skill on top of another. You can go to my virtual business card, which is infone, not iPhone, infone.co/speakingcpr. I'll put the link to that below here. Once you get to that, it looks like this. Just go down to this button, 52 storytelling tips. You can sign up for it. Before we go, next week, we will have coming attractions coming to a live stream near you. A friend to both Ray and me, a Hall of Fame speaker, Mr. Bill Stainton. Bill is a brilliant thinker when it comes to innovation and creativity, so you want to be here for that. Ray, any final thoughts before we go?
I think we both quoted Bill Stainton today on the show about his post today on LinkedIn about how can we use this to make ourselves. I looked at it and thought, how can I do this to make myself better and easier, make my life better and easier, or the people you work with as well. If you want to give yourself, here's my, that took all the way to get to this, Mike. Here's squirrel. Okay, I'm back. Now I got to remember what I was going to say. If you want to give yourself a leg up and have an advantage, use humor to do it. You don't even have to do it well, and people will remember you for it. You get more chances to succeed in life as a funny person than any other type of human being that's out there.
Love that. Thanks, Ray. And I'll just follow that up with a question. Are you willing to stretch yourself, take the chance that some people might not laugh in order to impact people at a deeper level?
Strong.
That's right. Enjoy your weekend, Ray. Enjoy your live stream later today, and we will talk to you next Friday. Enjoy your weekend.